Amelia screams for 50 lashes the moment she sees Raphael gripping Mary's hands. Amelia doesn't breathe before commanding it. 50. Now? Raphael drops Mary's hands like he's releasing fire. His face twists, instantly calculating a lie. Mary keeps her posture unchanged. Shoulders back, eyes steady, like she's been waiting for this day. You dare touch her? Amelia hisses, stepping forward with the fury of humiliation, not justice. I gave her instructions, Raphael says, voice sharp to cover his panic. Mary answers before the lie can settle. You were begging me not to speak. Raphael's head snaps toward her. Silence. The word cracks across the air with more fear than authority. He turns to the overseer, barking orders like a man trying to drown his own heartbeat. Take her and bind her. The overseer hesitates. He saw Raphael's hands, not instructions, but hesitation is dangerous, so he grabs Mary's wrists. She doesn't resist. Resistance would give them something to justify. Submission is more terrifying. Amelia watches Mary's composure like it's an insult. Punishment was supposed to break, not reveal strength. You will learn silence, she says. Mary's response is flat. I already learned it from you. A ripple passes through the gathered servants, not movement, but realization. Amelia taught silence through terror. Mary learned silence through calculation. Raphael steps closer, lowering his voice. You don't know what you're saying. Mary meets his eyes, calm, unhurried, and says nothing. That silence is enough. Raphael's breath shortens. He flinches like she whispered something only he could hear. Amelia sees the fear in Raphael before she sees her own jealousy. Her eyes harden. What did she mean? She demands. Raphael scoffs too loudly. She's inventing fantasies to avoid punishment. Mary finally speaks, each word a thread pulling him apart. You fear words more than lashes. The overseer binds her arms tighter, as if pressure can erase meaning. Matteo appears at the edge of the courtyard, jaw clenched. Eyes fixed on Mary, he says nothing. Loyalty is dangerous, but the tension in his body is a confession. He knows something. Amelia walks up to Mary, their faces inches apart. You think you can wound me by exposing him? Mary doesn't blink. No, you wound yourself by believing him. Raphael grabs Amelia's arm, pulling her back. She's manipulating you, he says. His voice shakes. Mary tilts her head. You taught me manipulation. Amelia looks at Raphael, really looks, and finds something she never allowed herself to search for. Fear, not anger. Not dominance, fear. How long? She asks him, voice cracking like old wood. Raphael tries to speak, but Mary interrupts with a whisper meant only for him. Truth survives silence. The overseer waits for an order that no one gives. The command for lashes is drowning under something heavier, the possibility that Mary knows more than she should. The air is filled with a tension that has nothing to do with punishment and everything to do with exposure. Amelia steps back, her voice brittle. Begin. The first lash hasn't yet fallen, but the real damage has already been done. The whip will hit flesh, but the truth is already cutting deeper. Raphael orders the overseer to strike harder while Mary refuses to cry out. Harder, Raphael says, because every quiet blow feels like a witness to his fear. The overseer hesitates only long enough to confirm Raphael means it, then the whip lands again. Mary's body recoils with a sharp jolt, but she pulls the reaction back under her breath. The refusal to scream is deliberate, not heroic. She knows screaming would give them a justification. Silence makes every strike look like insecurity. Matteo watches from the edge of the courtyard, jaw locked, hands trembling with the effort not to intervene. He's not afraid of the whip, he's afraid of what happens to Mary if he breaks the script she's chosen. Amelia sits rigid, waiting for sound, a cry, a plea, anything to prove Mary can be broken. She hears only breathing, controlled, measured. Every controlled breath is an accusation. Raphael steps close, voice low enough that only Mary hears him. You will say nothing again. Mary's reply is barely there, not defiance, but accounting. You cannot silence what you owe. Raphael goes still. The overseer's whip hangs mid-air, waiting. Raphael's face folds into panic, hidden behind anger. He thought she feared pain. He never considered she might be past needing fear. Amelia sees only his expression, not the words. Jealousy turns into suspicion. Something is wrong and she knows it without knowing why. Continue, Amelia commands. Her silence is arrogance. The whip falls harder. Mary's fingers curl once against the rope binding her wrists, the only sign of pain. Her voice rises just enough for the truth to shape itself. No, my silence was loyalty. Amelia freezes. Loyalty to whom? Raphael steps forward, suddenly desperate to end it. Enough, he snaps at the overseer. Amelia's head jerks toward him. You want her protected now? Raphael's voice is too quick. I don't want her dead. Death solves nothing. Mary lifts her head. Pain has made her voice thin, but her words are clean. You fear death because the dead speak without being questioned. The overseer looks at Raphael for the first time, not the way a servant looks at a master, but the way a witness looks at a defendant. Raphael sees it. That's what breaks him. Amelia stands. What debt? She demands. What does he owe you? Mary lets the question hang, shaping tension like clay. You asked him why he touched me. Ask him why he begged. Amelia's eyes sharpen. Begged what? Raphael answers too loudly. She lies. Mateo steps forward a half-step, eyes on Raphael. You know she doesn't? Raphael rounds on him. You will stay silent. Mary speaks again, voice steady despite the pain. They learned silence from you. I learned it for you. Amelia turns to Raphael, her voice thin with rage and fear. What did you beg her not to speak? Raphael's mouth opens, nothing comes out. The overseer lowers the whip, uncertain what crime he's part of anymore. Mary closes her eyes and breathes. The truth hurts without leaving marks. And for the first time, Raphael understands that the whip isn't punishing her, it's exposing him. Mary whispers Raphael's secret just loud enough for him to freeze. Mary's lips barely move. You forged your brother's will? Raphael's spine locks mid-breath. The overseer lowers the whip without being told. The word forged lands louder than any blow. Raphael tries to laugh, but the sound comes out like choking on dust. You're delirious, he says, forcing steadiness he doesn't have. Mary's eyes don't blink. The layer paid with your signet ring. Raphael's mind scrambles faster than his tongue. She wasn't in the room. She never saw the ring handed over. She never knew the lawyer's name. His pulse betrays him before his expression can recover. He turns toward Amelia with a performance already collapsing. She lies. Mary whispers again, soft enough to trap him alone in the words. Mariana saw you burn the real document. Mariana, standing at the edge of the courtyard, drops her eyes to her hands. The silence is confirmation. Amelia sees it, she just doesn't understand how yet. Raphael steps forward and grabs Mary's chin hard enough to hide his shaking. You speak again, I end you, Mary answers with a calm that terrifies him. You already tried. Raphael releases her so fast it looks like recoil. He turns on Mariana. You told her something. Mariana's voice is barely audible. She didn't need me to. Raphael tries to shout over reality. She's manipulating you. She's inventing... Mary cuts through him without raising her volume. You sent your brother to the grave with a promise undone. Amelia steps closer, eyes sharp enough to draw blood without touching anyone. What promise? Raphael snaps. Don't touch this. It's family business. Mary corrects him. It's inheritance. Family ends where greed begins. Amelia looks between them. Her jealousy shifts into suspicion, the kind that hunts for motive in every breath. You killed your own blood for land? She asks. Raphael turns desperate. She wasn't in the room. She never saw anything. Mary answers with certainty he can't fake. I know what you feared when the ink dried. Mariana speaks suddenly, voice shaking. You watched the layer leave. I heard you say he'll never know. Raphael's face drains its power. He stares at Mariana like betrayal appeared where obedience used to live. You swore silence, he whispers. Mariana nods once. I did, until you hurt those who never wronged you. Raphael hits the ground with a confession disguised as rage. I took what was mine before he wasted it. Mary watches him fold, body still tied, voice still steady. You took what he trusted you to protect. Amelia doesn't breathe. You inherited everything and told me he left you nothing? Raphael looks for denial and finds nothing to stand on. His reputation, the thing he worships, is bleeding out through every sentence. Mary's final whisper lands like a verdict. You feared me because the truth knows the door you locked. Raphael steps back, finally understanding the whip never controlled her. The truth does. Amelia slaps Raphael when he cannot explain why Mary spoke his name with such certainty. Explain, Amelia demands. Her tone isn't loud, it's surgical, meant to cut. Raphael opens his mouth, already reaching for the kind of half-truth he's used all his life. Polished, quick, convincing because he believes it. But Mary's whisper hasn't left the air. It's on Amelia's skin. Raphael looks at Mary like she's holding a blade made of memory. She's inventing madness. Mary answers before Amelia can blink. Your fear is proof. Raphael flinches at how calm she is. Calm means confidence. Confidence means knowledge. Knowledge means danger. Amelia's eyes move between them. Mary's steady posture, Raphael's jittering pulse. The imbalance is humiliating, and humiliation makes aristocrats violent. Amelia slaps him. Not a dramatic arc, no hesitation, no trembling, a direct strike, straight wrist, a practiced hand. This isn't the first time she's disciplined a lie. The sound betrays him, not pain but shock because she didn't wait for permission. She said your name like a wife, Amelia says. When did that begin? Raphael forces a laugh. It's brittle and loud, like someone kicking shattered glass. She's a slave. It's a stupid answer, even he hears it. Defining Mary by status is an argument that avoids the point. It tells Amelia he has nothing better. Mary cuts in. You said it while you held me. That lands, not the words, the posture. She doesn't plead or dramatize, she just states it like a ledger entry. A transaction, his name for her silence. Amelia's face cracks open. It's not sorrow. It's calculation. Jealousy, yes, but not the romantic kind. The kind born from property. A plantation wife competes with a woman who has fewer rights than furniture. Losing that competition means losing the one thing she still owns. Dominance. Amelia turns to Mariana. Speak. Mariana's eyes widen, then drop. Her throat works like she's swallowing a stone. I heard words. His voice. She doesn't say details. She doesn't need to. Naming the act fills the courtyard with reality. Raphael rounds on her. You traitor. Mariana steps back, instinctively protecting her ribs. She knows what happens when men in power feel cornered. Mary doesn't raise her voice. You taught her betrayal. Raphael spins back, ready to break her silence physically. His hand lifts, then he stops, because Amelia is watching. If he hits Mary now, he admits desperation. If he hesitates, he admits fear. Either way, he loses. The room shrinks. The walls don't move, but hierarchy collapses in real time. Mary shifts from object to threat. Mariana shifts from servant to witness. Amelia shifts from ornament to judge. And Raphael, his entire identity shrinks to a man caught with evidence he thought was ash. He tries a final refuge, arrogance. He straightens his jacket, lifts his chin. This is performance. She seeks to shame us. Mary doesn't blink. You already did that. Silence snaps like a trap. The truth isn't proven by documents. It's proven by the fact Raphael has no answer. Power built on secrecy always collapses in front of people who know the details. Raphael's jaw twitches. He looks at the three women in front of him and sees not inferiors but witnesses. In a world built on hierarchy, witnesses are lethal. And for the first time in his life, Raphael looks small. The house sleeps badly. Rage doesn't rest. Anger doesn't dissolve into dreams. It pulses in the walls, in the floorboards, in the breath of people pretending to be calm. Midnight feels heavier than noon. From the darkness of the cell, Mary speaks. Beatrice? The word is soft, but it detonates. Amelia stops in the hallway like someone grabbed her spine. She turns, eyes scanning shadows, trying to convince herself she misheard it. But nobody else would say that name. Nobody else knows it exists. No one knows that name, she whispers. The hallway lamp is weak, casting her face in uneven pieces, jaw tense, mouth trembling, eyes confused enough to be afraid. Fear isn't something Amelia wears in public. She saves it from mirrors. Mary answers, "You abandoned it?" No accusation in the tone, just fact. And fact is worse than cruelty. Amelia steps closer to the bars, but she doesn't get too close. She wants dominance without proximity. "Who told you?" Mary doesn't move. She doesn't need to. "You did," she says. "When you begged to be chosen. When you became Ferreira, not Beatrice." Amelia slams the bars. The metal rings through the hallway like a bell calling ghosts. Her pulse is loud enough that she hears it in her teeth. "Stop!" Mary watches her reaction the way a surgeon watches a cut opening, studying, not gloating. "You traded your name for his lies." That hits harder than any evidence. A name is the only thing a woman in her world owns at birth. Everything else is negotiated, stolen, or approved by men. Losing a name means losing the last piece of self that wasn't curated for display. Amelia's hands tremble. The lashes didn't break Mary, but the truth is bending her. She can wear jewels without feeling wealthy. She can own people without feeling powerful. But hearing her buried identity spoken by someone she's supposed to dominate turns the hierarchy upside down. "You know nothing?" she spits. Mary doesn't blink. "I know what you erased to survive." The words don't accuse her of cruelty. They accuse her of being weak enough to become cruel. That's worse. Amelia can endure being called heartless. She cannot endure being called frightened. She looks at Mary the way a drowning person looks at the surface, hating it because it's out of reach. "You are trying to poison me against myself." Mary finally leans forward, her face half lit, half shadow, like two futures overlapping. "No, I'm reminding you who paid the price for your safety." Amelia almost answers, but the hallway feels like it's listening. The walls are made of secrets, forged wills, traded bodies, dead names. If she replies, she risks admitting that Mary's voice isn't madness, it's memory. She steps back, trying to recover her posture the way aristocrats do, by straightening things that don't matter, like her shoulders. "You think knowing my name gives you power?" Mary shakes her head. "Knowing why you buried it does." Amelia stands there, frozen, because the worst part isn't that Mary knows the name, it's that she knows the story attached to it, a story Amelia never dared to speak again. Outside, the world is quiet. Inside, everything that held their hierarchy together fractures, not from rebellion, but from truth whispered in the dark by someone who wasn't supposed to speak at all. Amelia leaves without turning her back, not because she's strong, but because prey never turns its back on a predator. The hallway feels colder than the courtyard at dawn. Amelia stands with her back against the wall as if she expects the plaster to hold her upright. Mary stays seated in the dark, hands resting loosely on her knees as if the bars are just decoration, not a cage. "I watched you sign the letter," Mary says. The simplicity of the sentence is a punch. No dramatic tone, no accusation dripping like syrup, just the fact. Amelia's face empties of color. Shock isn't loud. It's silent, tight, and ugly. "What letter?" She tries, but the fear in her voice betrays her before Mary answers. "The one that sent your sister away," Mary says. "The one that saved your marriage." Amelia stumbles back like the words hit her sternum. The quiet of the hallway makes every breath sound like panic. Memory isn't distant, it's a blade she hoped she buried. "You weren't there," she insists, because denying the witness is easier than denying the crime. Mary doesn't raise her voice. "I was the shadow you never saw. Carrying tea you never drank?" That detail is too specific to ignore, too ordinary to be invented. Amelia sees it, the tray, the papers, her signature shaking, the way her sister cried, the kind of cry you pretend not to hear. Her face tightens with old rage resurfacing. Rage is useful. It feels stronger than guilt. She seduced him. Mary nods once, not agreeing, acknowledging that Amelia has repeated that line so often she thinks it's truth. "You lied," Mary says. "She loved him first." Amelia's voice cracks, not theatrical, involuntary. "He chose me." Mary doesn't blink. "No, you chose to erase her." The hallway is a courtroom now. No judge, no jury. Just a woman facing a truth she weaponized into silence. Mary isn't trying to destroy her. She's making her look. Amelia breathes like she's drowning. Her response arrives slow, heavy, dragged out of somewhere she hid under dresses and polished manners. You don't understand what survival costs. Mary's answer is immediate, sharp. I do. You taught me. Every syllable lands. Mary didn't learn survival from books or parents. She learned it from Amelia, from lashes, from the way truth was punished, from the way silence was demanded. Survival shaped Amelia into someone willing to exile blood for status. It shaped Mary into someone willing to bleed for truth. Amelia shakes her head more to herself than to Mary. If she stayed, everything collapsed, everything I fought for. Mary studies her with the cold clarity of someone who's been on the receiving end of aristocratic logic. Everything you fought for, she says, not everything she lost. Amelia looks away, not because she rejects the sentence, but because she recognizes it. People who justify cruelty always claim the sacrifice was mutual. It never is. I had nothing, Amelia says. Marrying him was the only way not to be discarded. Mary leans forward. You didn't marry him? You traded her for him? Amelia's eyes widen. There's no room to hide behind noble language. The exchange wasn't fate. It was a transaction. Her hands press against the bars, knuckles white. She would have taken everything from me. Mary shakes her head. She loved you. She trusted you. Amelia's breath shudders. That's the part she never lets herself think. Betrayal isn't just theft. It's breaking someone who believed you. You don't know what it's like to be powerless, Amelia says, final defense. Mary stands slowly, stepping into the faint light so Amelia sees her face, bruised, marked, unbroken. No, she replies. You don't. You hid your power behind his. I survived without anyone. The hallway stays silent long enough that the air feels thick. For the first time, Amelia looks like someone standing in front of her own crime. Not as a villain in a story, but as a woman who made a choice she can't rewrite. Mary's last words land without force. They don't need force. Survival is not an excuse to destroy someone who loved you. It's a confession. Amelia backs away from the bars slowly, like stepping away from a mirror she can't bear to look into. She leaves without answering, not because she won, but because she doesn't know what losing looks like yet. Mary sits again. The darkness doesn't hide her. It reveals who can stand the weight of truth. Mary doesn't whisper this time. She speaks like someone reciting a documented fact, not a threat. You said I stole everything and still I fear losing it? Raphael goes white in a way no lash ever made Mary go white. Not pain, recognition. The kind that strips a man from the inside. You listened? He asks, voice thin, brittle. Mary answers like it's obvious. I was carrying wood. You didn't see me. That detail matters. Raphael remembers the night. Storm outside, too much wine, fear like rot in his chest, and a confession spilled into the dark fireplace, thinking the flames were the only witness. A single board creaked behind him. He ignored it. Amelia turns her head slowly, eyes sliding from Mary to Raphael. Betrayal twice, once in action, once in memory. She isn't angry the secret exists. She's angry someone insignificant holds it. What did you steal? She demands. Not because she doesn't know something is wrong, but because she needs the version she can live with. The version that blames anyone except her choice of husband. Raphael tries to bluff because it's the only language he knows. She's fabricating stories. She's delirious from punishment. Mary cuts the lie without raising her voice. You stole the land, the title, and the story you tell at dinner. The sentence is a knife made of history, not metaphor. Raphael built an identity on a theft that no one dared speak. Hearing it from the mouth of someone he thought voiceless is worse than discovery. His rage collapses into raw panic. Stop! Mary doesn't. You live in a house built on a dead man's name. The word strikes something deeper than guilt, legacy. Raphael's entire existence is performance. The title Ferreira means nothing if the truth is said aloud. He lunges toward the bars, fist raised, not for violence, for erasure. He needs silence. Needs to kill the witness, not the crime. But Mateo steps in without hesitation, silent, solid, a body forged by years of discipline instead of drinks and inheritance. He doesn't raise a hand. Standing is enough. She tells the truth, Mateo says. No embellishment. No speech, just the sentence Raphael fears more than exposure. Confirmation by a man who has nothing to gain. Raphael's breath fractures. His eyes dart from Matteo to Mary to Amelia, looking for disbelief, for loyalty, for denial he can borrow. There's none. Amelia's expression tightens. She sees the truth in his face before he can invent a lie. The arrogance she admired, the confidence that attracted her, it collapses into something pathetic. Fear. "You lied to me," she says. Raphael shakes his head, not to deny the crime, but to deny the consequences. "I protected us." Mary watches him break and speaks like a judge reading a sentence. "You protect nothing. You bury what you cannot earn." Raphael grabs the bars, knuckles white. "Everything I did was necessary." Matteo doesn't move. "For who?" That question lands harder than anything Mary said. Raphael has spent years justifying himself, to silence, to servants, to people trained to look away. Now he has to answer someone who sees through him. Raphael looks down, breath ragged. The truth hits with finality. He thought control was ownership, not illusion. Mary stands in the dark, unmarked by his panic. "You fear losing what was never yours." Raphael's shoulders collapse. He sees his reflection, not in a mirror, but in the eyes of those he expected to stay beneath him, a thief terrified of the truth he confessed when he believed he was alone. And this time the walls are listening. Mary does not raise her voice. She doesn't need force. Truth already has weight. "The child you call heir is your sister's." The sentence lands like a blow. Amelia collapses, not fainting, breaking. Her knees hit the floor the way a door swings off its hinges, like gravity remembered her real place. No. It's not denial, it's a plea. A prayer that time could fold itself shut. Mary steps closer, hands bound, posture steady, the bound woman standing taller than the mistress on the ground. "You raised your rival's son. You lied to him, and you lied to yourself." Raphael stares at Mary like she is breaking stone with her tongue. His empire is not crumbling. It's being narrated into dust by someone he never allowed to speak. Amelia's voice is a broken whisper. "I was mother to him." Mary answers without softness. "You were prison to him." A cage built from envy. The word envy hits harder than lie. It exposes motive, not accident, not necessity, but smallness. Amelia looks up, eyes red, voice shaking with rage against reality. "How do you know?" Mary's gaze doesn't move. "I saw the midwife." "I heard your bargaining with God." The memory slices through Amelia, not the event, but the fact someone else saw it. She remembers the candle, the whispered promise, the deal made with a silent God. "Give me him, and I will erase her." She thought the darkness kept secrets. She never imagined the darkness had witnesses. Amelia sobs, not out of loss, but exposure. Her entire identity collapses into the truth she buried under status. Raphael's voice is low, dangerous, not angry at Mary, but terrified of the implications. "You took another woman's child and called him heir?" Amelia looks up at him with feral desperation. "I saved this house." Mary cuts through the excuse before it can form into a story. "You saved your pride, not the house." Raphael's face twists, shame sharpened into rage. "You built our legacy on a lie." Amelia chokes on the answer. "You married a thief. I had to fight to survive him." Mary's eyes flick toward Raphael, a knife of truth with a single pivot. "You both built a kingdom from what was not yours." The land, the name, the child, Raphael's breath catches. His crimes and hers sit side by side, equal not in scale, but in rot. He sees himself reflected in her sin, and that disgust is worse than any enemy. Amelia crawls forward, not dignified, desperate. "He is mine. I raised him. I fed him. I held him when no one else would." Mary doesn't flinch. "You raised him as proof you won." "Not as love." Amelia's scream isn't loud. It's wounded. "You don't understand what I gave up?" Mary answers like a judge, not a victim. "You gave up your name, your sister, your son, and still you lost." The room swallows the silence. There is no defense left, only the weight of truth. The heir was never hers, and everyone finally knows it. Amelia lowers her head, not in grief, but in a humiliation she can't escape. Her identity isn't broken by violence. It's broken by witnesses. Raphael begs Mary to stop speaking as Matteo confirms every word. Please, Raphael says, not a command. A plea, it sounds wrong, coming from him, like a blade trying to bend. Mary does not stop. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't dramatize. She documents his life like a court record. You inherited by fraud. You punished by jealousy. You lived by lies. Each sentence strips rank off him faster than any legal decree. Beside her, Matteo nods once, a verdict delivered without emotion. I saw the will. I saw the child's birthmark. Raphael's face breaks. There is no anger, just the realization there's nowhere left to perform innocence. He looks like a child wearing a man's clothes, finally seen as he is, petty, desperate, terrified. Why do you destroy us? He asks. The question isn't philosophical. It's the confused panic of someone who believed his violence was justified, but her truth is not. Mary answers without heat. I'm not destroying anything. I'm uncovering what you built. That lands harder than any insult. She denies him even the dignity of collapse. She defines it as exposure. The empire wasn't stable. It was a story. And she's untelling it. Amelia crawls toward Mary's feet, the woman who once ordered 50 lashes now begging the survivor to stop speaking. Stop, I have nothing left. Mary looks down at her, not triumphant, not compassionate, just precise. You never had anything. You only stole better than others. Amelia sobs, shaking her head like denial could undo 11 years of erasure. I built this house. I raised that boy. I held this family together. Mary steps back so Amelia can't cling to her. You held together a story. The family was gone the moment you betrayed blood for a name. Raphael grips the edge of the table like he needs wood to stay upright. You think telling them will change anything? The land is ours. The title is mine. Matteo finally speaks, heavy, quiet, lethal. The title belongs to your brother's son. She raised him. You erased him. Raphael's breath collapses out of him. Years of arrogance implode into a single understanding. The people he ruled watched, remembered, and waited. He thought silence was obedience. It was record-keeping. Mary, he whispers, voice raw, you could have stayed silent forever. Mary nods, and it terrifies him. I did, and you mistook silence for loyalty. The line hits both of them. For Raphael, it is accusation. For Amelia, it is revelation. She built power by demanding silence. She never understood it was consent she didn't have. Mariana speaks from the doorway, barely audible. We all heard things. We all knew pieces. Raphael turns to her, realizing he lived surrounded by witnesses, not servants. Why didn't you speak? Mariana's answer is brutal in its simplicity. Truth doesn't need help. It waits for the right voice. Raphael looks back at Mary. Why now? Mary holds his gaze, the woman he tried to break and bury. Because you finally heard me without power. Mary walks away while the Ferreira legacy falls apart at her feet. Mary turns her back on both of them. She does not glance over her shoulder. Her shoulders are steady. Her steps are calm. There is no hatred, no celebration, just detachment. That is what cuts deeper than vengeance. The realization that she no longer belongs in their world, that they no longer hold power over her. Matteo opens the gate without a word. The metal creaks, announcing passage without judgment. Mary steps through, her boots making soft contact with the ground, yet the sound echoes as a final punctuation mark. She is leaving behind more than a house. She is leaving behind the weight of years spent silenced. Amelia collapses to the floor, sobbing into her hands. The woman who once wielded 50 lashes now cannot muster authority over her own body, over her own legacy. Her voice is a strangled, broken thing. Mary, wait! But there is no one left to answer her call. The words are swallowed by the emptiness she created herself. Raphael sits rigid, staring at the floor. His empire was built on secrets, lies, and the fear of exposure. And now he feels the slow, merciless decay of every carefully stacked deception. He cannot speak. His mouth opens and closes like a trapped animal. Silence falls like a verdict. Not a word can save what he has already lost. Mariana watches from the doorway, quiet and steady. She does not cheer. She does not intervene. She merely observes as history collapses in front of her, a structure built on human cruelty unraveling without bloodshed. Her presence alone is a reminder to Amelia and Raphael, the witnesses always remember. Mary lifts her chin and walks, her eyes are clear. She passes the threshold of their world, carrying the truth they never wanted her to possess. Her voice, when it comes, is steady and calm, carrying the weight of everything they tried to bury. You took my voice. I took your truth. The words hang in the air. Each syllable echoes in the halls like an invisible hammer. Secrets spilled, confessions revealed, the power they thought eternal crumbles. The Ferreira name, once rigid and untouchable, shatters without a whip, without a blade, without blood. It breaks because truth is more lethal than any strike. Behind her, the house seems smaller, diminished. The rooms echo with emptiness. Documents that were forged, promises that were broken, schemes that were carefully hidden, all exposed now, nothing left to protect them. Every advantage they thought they held slips through their fingers. Mary continues forward. She passes the courtyard where whispers will now replace commands. She steps over the threshold of the property where fear once ruled. Each footstep marks the distance growing between the slave they tried to break and the woman who became unstoppable. By the time she disappears from view, the Ferreira legacy has already started to decay. Alliances crumble, arrogance falters, and power disintegrates. All because one voice refused to be silenced, one truth refused to be hidden, and one woman refused to remain a victim. Mary does not look back. She walks into the unknown, free, whole, and complete, leaving nothing but the echo of justice for those who believed they could control her. And in that echo, the Ferreira family will hear the lesson for the rest of their lives. Cruelty leaves a mark far deeper than any whip.